Alright, this video is to kind of address the continuous comment flow from my video about men from the ages of 18 to 26 being registered for selective services in lieu of the draft. The most responding comments were of, should women also be enlisted in the selective services for possible drafting? If under the condition that men believe that women should be able to fight the same fight with the same degree and the same physical inertia that a man would use to combat on the front lines, this is a response to that notion. If your response was that you just believe women should be playing supportive roles, but not necessarily in the combat zone, but still be enlisting, doing everything and anything to help ensure support as a soldier, this isn't really addressing that, and I do think women can be and should be drafted for those roles specifically, but why I believe it's not a good idea to have them be drafted in an infantry role. The U.S. House and Senate are considering legislation to include women in the country's draft laws. If this policy change becomes a law, women in several states would join their male counterparts in being automatically registered for the selective services. There are 30 states participating in this, and if you want details of which 30 states they are, you could just search the World Wide Web and they would give you the answers. So it's important to note that this change wouldn't immediately trigger a draft. Activation of the draft requires congressional and presidential action. The topic of including women in the draft has been debated, and opinions vary. While there's bipartisan support for drafting women to the military has decreased since 2016. And that's if women even qualified for the draft. So it would require that women would register for selective services, and that's if they were drafted. But also addressing their menstrual needs would be essential. Military policies would likely adapt to accommodate hygiene products, medical support, and understanding of the physical challenges during menstruation. Ensuring equitable treatment and access to necessary resources would be crucial. My question is, if they're in the combat zone and they're doing jungle runs and stuff like that, they can't just wear a tampon nonstop because of toxic shock syndrome, and they can't just leave their used products all over the map. It would be smelly, it would be unhygienic, it would be problematic in every way. And I'm not sure that there's really a way that that can be counteracted. Like there isn't really a way to make all of that clean, especially if there's not resources to water and cleanliness and bathrooms and that kind of stuff. That's just not going to work. And it doesn't matter how biodegradable, it still wouldn't be healthy. It wouldn't be really a very good idea. So every country in the world permits the participation of women in the military, albeit with varying approaches. And here are some examples. Sweden, Australia, Canada, and Norway, these countries allow women to formally serve in combat positions. Israel has women in their intelligence and combat units. Germany, France, Netherlands, these all have integrated women into their armed forces. South Africa, even including high-ranking positions. Estonia, Finland, Lithuania, they all allow women to serve in combat roles. And North Korea, even North Korea, even though they try to have it be secret. Remember that each country's approach reflects its unique cultural, historical, and social context. Women's roles continue to evolve, and effort towards gender equality remain ongoing worldwide. The U.S. Army has made slow but steady progress in integrating women into combat roles. Here are some key points. In 2015, the first women attended U.S. Army Ranger School, passing the same rigorous standards as men. And then the Secretary of Defense, Ash Carter, then opened all combat roles to women. And since then, more than 600 women have been recruited for or transferred to combat occupations, with 12 graduating from Ranger School. So hooah, girls, hooah, ladies. There are lots of challenges, though. We've got logistical and regulatory costs, disciplinary challenges, recruitment and retention, like women are just not wanting to stay as a combat person, and health considerations, which we already talked about. Approximately 1 in 4 women who entered the U.S. Army Ranger School successfully graduated, while when men have recruited, theirs is about 50%. So we're not too far away. I mean, it is a whole 25% difference, but we need a little more time to be able to create better analytics for that. Part of the reason some of the women didn't pass was the physical demands, environmental conditions, mental toughness, and teamwork. And when I was in high school, I was in the JROTC program. I was wanting to join the Marines. And these were things I had to think about because I was like diehard. I wanted to do front lines and stuff. I was so G.I. Jane. Like I was like, let's do it, you know. But one of the things on G.I. Jane, which I really feel like would ring true if with Army Ranger or Navy SEALs training and stuff, is that the macho man, you know, being angry that a woman's trying to be equal to them with their stamina and their ability. And it didn't go over well, and there was a lot of bullying because of it. And I feel like that definitely could happen. So that seems like it rang true. Captain Kristen Griest, the first U.S. Army infantry officer and a trailblazer herself, argues against lowering fitness standards. She believes that doing so would harm both combat effectiveness and women in the Army. Lower standards might perpetuate the idea that women inherently weaken all male units and hinder trust building with teammates. Instead, she emphasizes that failure isn't a cause for concern, it's an opportunity for growth. The Army is currently reviewing its gender-neutral fitness test, but maintaining rigorous standards remain crucial. And I understand that we've been going through a long phase of women trying to create equality, and it's just that we do that. But I also feel like it has very much gone overboard in many ways, and I feel like men have felt victimized as this has taken place. And I feel like that's part of the response I'm getting, is that women should also be drafted too. Sometimes I think we should think about that, though, because if we're talking about front lines, we are all built with empathy, and men are built to empathize for women because we have naturally been a weaker body. Like it's true. Our bodies are not built the same way with the same kind of upper heroism strength, you know, and a woman can get that way, but it's not our normal stance or our normal placement. And so for a woman to be on the combat zone with a man, it would probably be really emotional and distracting for a man to see a woman struggling while they're supposed to be getting to their finish line or their goals, you know, getting their accomplishments done. And not being quick-witted, you know, because you're distracted could definitely cause critical scenarios that would just create a situation that could be deadly, you know. And so it's not really a very good idea. Like, women in the combat zone should be there if that's what they strive to become, like that's what they want. I don't think they should be drafted into that role, because, well, if anyone's drafted into any role that they don't want to be, you're not going to get that same motivated person behind it. You know, you can threaten, you can yell, you can be drill sergeant all you want to these people, and that doesn't necessarily make them willing. And so if you have a willing female, that might be the same thing. You'd still have probably an emotional distraction out of that, an emotional response. You know, you could be traumatized from seeing and witnessing the harm of a woman as a man, I believe, you know, and I could be wrong, but I believe the best in humanity, and I believe that a man would probably not want to see a woman suffering. So it would distract. I believe that would be a distracting scenario. And I think we need to be careful about what we choose to do. If that's what we choose to do, to draft women, yes, let them be supportive. We should be. And especially if it's a world war, we should be supportive. We should be defending our country and, you know, unified, you know. And it would be great if this world was unified. But under the circumstances that it can't, I think we need to be careful about what petitions we're trying to create. I don't think it's wise, you know, especially if men have a heart. I think it's not wise to expect that. So anyways, that's my response. I do agree. Women definitely should be drafted in supporting roles, and they should be there to support all the soldiers who are out there on that front line fighting for us. You know, we should be at home supporting too. Like, if we can't be drafted, I wouldn't be able to be drafted unless they change the age limits I wouldn't be able to be drafted, but I would definitely want to make sure that if my sons were drafted, that I would have them be proactively prepared for it and be as supportive of having them be in the best mental condition and the best physical condition, everything that could help him be the best soldier he could be. That's who I would want to be. And I would feel that way. That would extend to soldiers all about, you know. So anyways, that's it. Have a good day, guys. Bye.